All right, these are my top 100 games 90 through 81. All right, so let's see how many we can get through. I am going to start with number 90. And just a heads up again, these don't have to be like the world's best games. These are just games that I really enjoy or have built really good memories around. And just take that with a grain of salt. These are my opinions. They don't mean that they are for everyone. And that is how this is gonna go today. I keep looking out my window. We saw a mountain lion in our backyard the other day, and now I'm just like, continue to make sure that they're not there. And we've been hearing some howling, which is always super fun. Our neighbors have seen some wolves in their backyard, so we are just having a party this week when it comes to wildlife, now that it's snowing outside and everything's being flushed down from the mountains. So once again, this is not one big comprehensive review of any of these games. This is just going to be a really brief overview and just to give you guys kind of 10 fun games to play. And so my first game is on number 90 is a game that I used to have right behind me, but I've switched up my background and now it's not there anymore. And that is a cute little game called Walk and Roll. Now, Walk and Roll is a very, very light, very simple roll and write game where you are rolling dice that have certain food symbols on them, and you're using those food symbols to check off certain things on the board out in front of you to make meals, essentially. And you're just trying to score points based off of the columns that you fill out. And it's a super, super cute little game. I love that you can like name it on the corner, name your little menu. We've had some fun inventive ones come up. And I have had so many good memories around this. My sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and I have played this quite a few times and we really liked it a lot. It's definitely on the light end of games. Just as a heads up, it's probably one of the lightest roll and writes that I've played. And that is Walk and Roll. So my next game which is game number 89 on my list, is a game called Wonder Woods. Now this is a cute little deduction and bluffing game where everyone is dealt out a certain number of cards and you're trying to figure out the point value of the mushrooms in front of you. So you don't know if the mushrooms in front of you are worth a high point value or a low point value, and you're trying to collect them throughout the game in order to score the most amount of points. And there are also these baskets, and you can only bring back certain mushrooms unless you have baskets. And in order to get more baskets, you have to reveal cards out of your hand, which kind of blows some of the strategy of the game in some ways. I love the bluffing element of it and the deduction element of it. Trying to figure out what everyone else has in their hands is always super fun. Oh, also the components, super adorable. I love the little mushroom meeple things. And the little baskets are so cute. I'm such a sucker for them. And again, that is Wonder Woods. All right, so number 88 on my list is another puzzly tile game. If you watched my video right before this, I had one that is pretty dang similar, and this game is Calico. Now, Calico is a tile drafting and placement game where it's kind of similar to Cascadia, except Cascadia doesn't have placement restrictions, like spreading out across the board wise. Calico does. You're only able to fill out this little board in front of you. You're trying to get the most amount of points by putting colors and patterns in certain areas, dependent on these little objective hexagons that are on the quilt that you're building. You're also trying to attract certain cats based off of the amount of color or patterns that you can get next to each other, and then buttons for a certain amount of colors. Anyway, there's a lot of little ways to score points in this game. I actually like this one a bit better than Cascadia. I feel like it flows a little bit nicer, and I do love the theme because I love quilting, as I have said before on this channel. Also with Calico, you can get these cute little upgrade buttons that just they're adorable. I've got some off of Etsy. I'll try to maybe link in the description the Etsy shop that I bought it from. And I just got some 3D printed little buttons to put out on my board on top of the quilt spaces, and they are so cute and I love them. And yep, that's Calico. So my next game is a worker placement and resource management game, and that is Castles by the Sea. Now in Castles by the Sea, you are placing blocks out on a board to try to build the best castle and place the most of your little figures out. In the process of building out this castle, you have an opponent that's also building out a castle on the other side, and you want to have a bigger, better castle than them, but there are also hazards that come through, like a kid could run through, or maybe a dog, or maybe there's a storm that comes and blows down your castle halfway through building it, and then you have to rebuild from there. You get your meeples back. The art of it is very studio, Ghibli? The characters that you're playing are little miniature people on castles. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if anyone remembers this. I know that they have a book or they have a movie called The Secret of Ariete, but before that, there was a book series that I used to read growing up called The Littles, and these little characters that you're placing out on your sandcastle that you're building kind of remind me of the book The Littles. Anyway, it's a very cute game. I love the components of it. I like that you're building your sandcastles, and there's kind of these like shifting hazards. It's very cute. And that is Castles by the Sea. All right, so my number 86 game is a very light, very, very light abstract game, and that is called River Valley Glassworks. So in River Valley Glassworks, you're drafting tiles off of a moving river board, and you're putting them into your own personal little board in front of you to try to gain points. You can gain more points the higher up on your board you go, or the further to the side on your board you go. And the glass has to be placed in the color order that you drafted them, and then each of the columns has to continue to be filled by those same colors. It's super fun. Component wise, this game blew me away. I have the most deluxe version of it, so I have the acrylic moving river tiles, and then I also have the actual glass pieces and the playmat and stuff. I love the Andrew Bosley art. That's always going to be a big hit for me. And combine it with good gameplay, and you got a good game out in front of you, especially because they have an additional card pack that you can get that has different ways that you can play the game. So maybe if you're feeling like it's too light as is, you can add those different cards in to make it more complicated or more complex. I would put it on the same level, if not easier to teach than Azul. It's very much an abstract strategy that gives those kind of vibes, and that is River Valley Glassworks. So my next game, I kind of have a little bit of an ambition to. So my next game is a game called Periodic, but I managed to sneak through all of school, high school, college, all of it, without ever taking a chemistry course. So I don't know, this is so embarrassing, but I don't know the periodic table of the elements. I never had to memorize it. I never had to learn them. I took all sorts of like medical classes and stuff. I was super into that. The periodic stuff, table of the elements, chemistry, I just like couldn't care less at the time. And I never learned that, but I still really like this game, and I like that it kind of teaches you about the periodic table of the elements. So you basically, it has the table out on the board, and you are moving your little, you have a microscope too, but you're moving a little vial all around the board trying to get to certain spaces so that you can put cubes up on these objective cards. And then if you have the majority of the cubes in the objective card, then you get to take the card and you get to score it to win at the end of the game. I don't actually own this game. This is one that my mom bought for my brother, and I love it. I think it's so fun. I love the idea of it. I always loved games that can parallel education. And this one is one of those that really merges those nicely. You have to spend energy or gain energy in order to move up or down or to the side or the other side on the table of the elements. And I think they do a really good job of executing that in the game. It definitely taught me more than I was expecting to learn from it. And I love the idea of it overall. It was a super fun game, and that is Periodic. And I think that's by like Genius Games or something like that. I should be listing out the name of the publishers. I keep forgetting, so my apologies. I probably won't do it for the rest. So my next game number 84, is a super simple flip and write, and that is called Explorers. Now in Explorers, one player is going to flip a card, and whatever terrain is facing them is going to be where they are allowed to place their X's, and whatever terrain is facing you is where you are allowed to place your X's. You have a map out in front of you, and you are checking off the map, Xing off certain boxes, trying to gain the most rewards. You'll gain rewards by going to temples and gaining keys and checking off key boxes to unlock those temples. There are also apples and like food and other things that you can gain throughout the game. It's a very simple game to teach. It's another one that we played with a lot of family and had a lot of fun with. And I like whiteboards. I like being able to wipe stuff off. I don't know, something about them just feels a little bit more high quality. Anyway, that is Explorers. So my next game is another one that is very similar to an earlier game that I listed in my previous video. And this game is called Canvas. Now in Canvas, it is similar to Century Golem Edition. It feels very similar. You could almost get one or the other. I know some people don't like comparing board games, but I feel like that really gives you a good reference for whether you'll like it or not. Anyway, in Canvas, you have these 3 basic art cards out in front of you that are in sleeves, and then there are a bunch of clear cards with various little artistic drawings on them out on the collective board. And then there's a bunch of objectives up at the top. And similar to Century Golem Edition, where in Century, you're taking gems and you're walking them up to draft cards. In Canvas, you are taking these really pretty little art tokens and you're placing those out on the cards to then draft the card that's next highest to the last token that you place. And then you'll take that clear card and you'll slide it in your little sleeve with your background, your basic background. And when you do that, you have these little objectives at the bottom that are rainbow ordered colors, and then some of them will show you symbols that you have to collect that you want visually showing. And you are trying to get the, what is it called? You're trying to get the objectives based off of the symbols that you have showing at the bottom by the time you're done with your canvas. And you're done with your canvas when you've slid 3 separate cards in to finish out your pretty picture. I always think it's really fun to see the creativity that people have with some people really, really want to make their picture pretty, and some people are really going for those points. I think it's a fun one for a variety of people. I love the clear translucent. I just think that's so cool to be able to slide those in and build your painting. I'm kind of a mix of a player where I do like the pretty painting and I like to see the little names that you can get on the bottom, but I also really want to win. So I don't know, I'm somewhere in the middle there. Anyway, that is Canvas. All right, so game number 82. I don't even know what you'd really call this game. It's kind of like an area restrictive dropping game. It's kind of dexterity, but not really. And that is Dungeon Drop. So in Dungeon Drop, you're taking a bunch of cubes and you are dropping them out onto your table. We actually do this. We make a little masking tape border on ours. We used to play it on a cookie sheet, but then we learned that some of the characters allow you to like take cubes that have been placed, that have fallen off the board and put them back on. So don't use a cookie sheet. But we use masking tape and we make a little box on our table and we shake up all those cubes and we dump them down. You will try to make like triangular shapes there are some cubes that are silvery looking, and you get to take whatever cubes, those are called the column cubes. They represent the columns holding up the dungeon. And you'll draw a triangle with 3 of them, and then you'll take all the dice out of the middle, or all the little cubes out of the middle of them, and you'll put them down and score those. Sometimes there'll be monsters that give you negative points, or will, I guess, kind of kill you because you have hearts that you will lose throughout the game. Sometimes it'll be gold, sometimes it'll be extra different rewards that you could gain that might be worth more to your character in particular, because you have a little kind of minute asymmetric faction that you're playing. Base game plays the same, you just have a little extra faction power. And it's really, really adorable, and it's a fun game to play with a bunch of people. We played it at most with, I want to say, 4. My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law in particular, love this game, and I ended up buying it for one of them, I think. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe I did. No, I think I bought it for either it's been a hit for us. Really like it. That's number 82 on my list, and that is Dungeon Drop. Now, my last game today is a big old board game. It's a 3D board game, and that is Holi. So Holi is based off of the Holi Festival of Colors in India. Holi spelled Holi. And it is a board game with like 3 separate platforms that go up with a bunch of little divots in them, insets that you can put characters on. And throughout the game, you will have cards in your hand that you'll play down that'll allow you to throw colors in a certain order around your character. And then it's got a little bit of area control to it. And and then you can also be picking up sweets that allow you to score points. It's another one that's kind of on the lighter end of medium, or definitely on the lighter end of medium. I love the 3D element to it because you can go up to the next level once you've filled one, or if there are certain requirements that you have to fulfill that allow you to move up to the next levels. You can also hit the other character, and so if like I'm playing against my husband and I get him with some paint, if some of my paint or my powder, whatever it's called, gets thrown on him, then he has to give me, there's a card that has him give me like one of his sweets that he's collected. I think the sweets are worth 5 points if I didn't say that already. It's such a cute, fun game. Very chill. It can rile people up a little bit. We've only played it really at 2 players. I think the most I've played it at was 3, and we didn't ever get super crazy about it, but I could see how you could if you have a lot of players, and that is Holy. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and in my top 100 video. Thanks so much for sticking with me this far. I really appreciate all of you so much. If you liked what you saw today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications when we upload new content. And don't forget to check out the Harbor Loot to see all sorts of good board game goodies. And my Amazon affiliate link is also down there as well if you want to take a look at some of the games that I have reviewed. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you again here in the After Evenfall community.